Hi. Sometimes you'll hear people talking about finding the maximum or minimum of a function. Just to get across the idea of what it means, I've drawn an upward opening parabola. You can assume that this point 4, -3 is actually located at the lowest point on the parabola. We would call this y value, -3, the minimum of this function. A minimum is always a y value. A maximum would always be a y value. It's literally saying what is the highest or lowest y value achieved by the function. So in this case, the lowest it ever got is -3. So -3 is the minimum. You might wonder why I don't list the whole ordered pair. The minimum is really asking, how low did it get? A lot of times they ask, find the minimum and the x value that produces it, or find out where it happens is another way to say it. So -3 is the minimum itself, and it has that minimum at x equals 4. So if they ask for both the location and what that minimum is, the minimum is reporting the y value, and then if they ask where it's located, they're talking about sideways positioning or the x value. Now you might wonder why I haven't mentioned maximum. Well, this particular graph goes upward forever. You might think that we should list infinity as the maximum, but in fact, we're trying to say the highest number ever achieved. Because this graph goes upward forever, it actually doesn't have a maximum. So we would say the maximum doesn't exist. So it does not exist. We don't say infinity because that's technically not a number. Okay, so that would be an example of finding a minimum, stating where it's located, and finding that there is no maximum because it goes up infinitely. Okay, if I had a maximum, I'm going to go ahead and draw this. So here's a different graph. And if I had something that looked like this, and if I gave you some of the ordered pairs, say -5, -3, let's say that this is -3, 1, and so if this were the whole graph, you might think that this is the low point on the graph, but this thing here goes infinitely lower, so this one would not have, it has no minimum. However, as far as a maximum goes, we can see that this is the high point on the graph. The maximum is actually, again, the maximum is the highest height that it ever achieved. So it has a maximum, that was not very well written, a maximum of 1. And a lot of times, in the same breath, the book will say, find the maximum and where it occurs. If they ask both of those questions, we would say we have a maximum of 1 at x equals -3. But understand, -3 is not the maximum. The whole ordered pair is not the maximum. The maximum is technically that highest y value you ever found. So hopefully this cleared up any questions you might have on what a maximum or a minimum of a function is.